Easy Troop. So today we're going to have a look at this thing right here, and this is Master Desk Pro from the guys over at Brainworks on Plugin Alliance. And I thought I'd give a demo of it. As you can see here, look, I've got the trial version, 10 days left, so not paid, not been given it, any of that jazz. And the reason I was curious is this now sits under the same banner as Native Instruments. It's part of Soundwide and Native Instruments brand, so is Brainworks, as well as iZotope. So this is a competitor to Ozone 11. However, this thing is priced at, I think, $349, and obviously it's on Plugin Alliance. There'll be a deal at some point bringing it down to like 99 or something. I was just like, how can this be comparable to the likes of Ozone 11? And it's got some tools in it that are absolutely top tier, but compared to the overall bundle you get and the price point, there's some odd choices. So I thought I'd go and master this track with it. Today's video is sponsored by DistroKid. They let me get my music out to all of the major distributors, and they do that at a price an independent artist can easily afford. If you're ready to get your music or beats out there and want to release an unlimited amount of music each year, check the link in the description below for a discount off of your first year of unlimited distribution with DistroKid. I've followed the channel for a while. This will be a track that you've definitely heard. And let me just do a quick A and B. Now, as far as I can tell, as far as I can find, there's no gain match on here, so the difference we're going to get is going to be epically louder. What I'm going to do is probably match it to level in post for you, so we've got an idea really of what difference we've created without it just pounding your ears. Alright, so there's an idea of what it's doing, and limiting wise, really impressive. Let me just quickly go over the GUI and explain what's going on, because it's got kind of odd layout and odd workflow. The first thing starting off here, we've got the TMT comp over on the left hand side here. Now, this is emulation of analog channel strips essentially. And I love the TMT system when it is in, say, the SSL strip or the Neve strip. However, here at the mastering phase, I don't want to be adding non-linear irregularities. There is a digital version, and that just forces you onto these plain digital channels that I can't really hear a difference with. I haven't run it through Plugin Doctor to tell. The analog ones do like a massive amount of difference. If I crank it up to, I think it was here, the phase difference is just like astronomical. So if you're in headphones right now, you'll probably notice that her vocal is now sitting way off to the left, like top left, rather than where it should be in the right. If we switch back to digital, it's nice and in the center again. It's just a really weird choice to have that in there. If you want to add some of that character, the kind of irregularities and tape vinyl kind of issues at the mastering stage for some reason, a creative choice maybe, alright, it's there, but that's great. Tied directly into the compression settings of it as well, so you've got your ratio and release right under it here, and that's all we get compressor wise. Now under that we've got glue compression, which as far as I can tell is supposed to be an SSL G-Bus. Enable it right here and you can literally just crank it up or down. It's basically a wet dry mix or like a straight threshold. And then we've got a soft clipper. I've got that completely off on this tune. It just doesn't need it. But we've got it at a really early stage. Rather than having it at the limiting stage, we've got a clipper right here for some reason. Absolutely decimates, but like a couple of percent. If we needed to really boost the track up, that would give us what we needed. You can even get an audible boost here. You know, we're hitting minus 4.7 lufs. We've crushed this song and it's still pretty clear. so we've got the TMT comp, we've got the glue and the clipper all over here on the left. Then we move up here and we've got the compressor link and the compressor mix. Now we've got another kind of wet dry connection for the compressor, which I've got on 100. It's just going all the way through the compression, but we can do parallel compression straight away here. That's kind of useful, but again, a little odd on the layout side of things, because now we've gone through all these different compression options we've got, as well as a clipper, which should really be here over with the limiter, in my opinion. Now we've got volume in. So I'll gain in, which stick that here, stick the compressor stuff here, stick the clipper over here on the limiter, making more sense to me. Right, all of our metering in the middle, that's just kind of bog standard. We're used to that. It is useful that we've got directly a LUFS meter and sum, and we can do the competitive adjustments down here. All of that's nice. All of this middle section, spot on. Exactly what we want to have right as a visual reference. And we can switch it as well to short term as well if we want to. Then we've got two amounts of saturation. We've got this XL, didn't find this overly useful on this particular track, but the THD brings up a bunch of harmonics, can be quite useful if you really want to fill out an area. It's more useful if it can be multiband though, which again you can do in Ozone, and you can isolate the area that you want to add some THD to. This just saturates the entire thing. So if you've got a really weighty low end, but you want to try and bring up like the upper mids, using a bit of distortion, you just can't. You just have to kind of saturate the entire thing. But again, it's done an alright job. And we've got a foundation, which effectively seems to be a bit of a tilt. Kind of like the bias on a tape. And then we've got the limiter. The limiter might be a reason to purchase this, although you can get the Brainworks master limiter, and you've got, I wouldn't necessarily say it's any better than what we've got in Ozone 11, especially in terms of the vintage limiter and then the maximizer and then all of the algorithms that come with that, but it is a really solid limiter. It's quick and easy and it does a great job. Nice little true peak option in here, that's dialed in really well, and we can switch between the modern and classic vibes as well, similar to Ozone 11 having a vintage compressor with its vintage and modern options, and it just gives a slightly different sound to the limiting. And depending what your source material is, switching between the two can be night and day. That's kind of a super odd workflow. I like the limiter where that is. That makes sense, because often I'm going to go for the loudness and bringing the loudness up right from the offset, so we're already working and then fixing backwards from there, rather than trying to fix it and then make it really loud. We kind of make it loud and then fix it as we go on from there. So below in this bottom section we've got all our kind of technical tools, right? And this is a nice touch. This de-esser here has actually done a really nice job, and having a solo option really good as well. We can hear what we're correcting. And you can hear in this, it is actually capturing some pretty gnarly high-end bits that once the track is cranked up, they're not really going to be something that you want to hear. They're going to grate on the ear. So dialing that in using the solo function, be nice. It's a nice little feature to have that in there. And if we crank it right up, it does a really good job at just negating those harsher tones around your frequency. And we can dial it in with solo. I like that. That's a good touch. And I was surprised as well by the resonant filters and the fact I found a really good use for that. So you enable them just by switching on the switch right here, and then you've basically got a frequency that you set here. So this would be 6200, and then this is the cut type, so basically a wide Q or a narrow Q. And if we disable that, there is actually a hat tone in this track at 6200. I found it. It's actually pretty grating once the track's loud, and the resonance filter does a wicked job of just nailing that back down so the mix can be loud without it hammering your ear. So listen to it, focusing on the hats, you'll notice that it is grating at this kind of compressed level, and then when we switch the resonant filter on, it does pretty much fix the entire thing, which is lovely. Touch. and they're doing a really good job. Again, Ozone 11, we've got the dynamic EQ, and using the assistant, it actually finds those for you, but they are really good. I like those resonant filters being in there. That is something I would love to see on the likes of the Lursen console, and was definitely one of my gripes, that you're so limited in terms of the EQ fixes you can make that it's almost useless unless your mix is flawless, in which case pump it into L2 and you're done. Right, we've then got tone as well as an equalizer. Basically, big broad lifts or cuts, depending how you want to look at it. I kind of see this as like a Pultec EQ, really big sweeping bands that kind of overlap and have crossovers, and then you've got a more detailed equalizer in the bottom. I found using tone, bringing loads of mids up in this made a huge difference. You hear it's a big range. But it's not as if it's bumping it up 27 dB, it's a percentage control. And then the EQ, if we disable it, we'll bring it up around that 600 Hz range with a narrow Q and a little lift in the top end. Mid-side control is really nice here as well. I'm pretty sure this is directly lifted from this plugin here, which is called BX Stereo Maker. So it makes sense, right? Both Brainworks. I'm pretty sure they've basically plugged this into this mastering chain here. And this is a tool I've used quite a bit. It lets you get like a nice wide stereo field, but also keep everything under control. So we can use like the mono frequency to make sure the low end stays in mono, and we can then push everything else out. Like control wise, it even seems to be the same controls. I'm pretty sure they've just taken that and plugged that in here, and then they've plugged their limiter in up here, and then they've plugged some other de-esser control and the TMT in here and made this master desk. This does do a really good job. Anything below 110 is summed into mono and kept really under control. Then we push everything else out. It makes a big difference. So mono maker to fix any low end issues, go to about 110. We've got a stereo enhanced percent. That does a really nice effect of pushing everything out, but I dial it back a bit to about here. And we've got a nice side width as well. And then for some reason pan, as if you're ever going to want to do that on a master. Good reference tool for checking what you're doing maybe, but otherwise, no. And the last things, we've got high pass, low pass. I've got the high pass on here at 24 dB. Didn't need anything below there for sure. And then 32K is the default here. It actually goes all the way up to 40K. I don't know if that would ever be relevant. I've never been able to hear above about 21 kilohertz, and nowadays probably more like 18. So overall, that's where we're at. That is everything that's built in here, and it is definitely a bunch of Brainworks plugins brought together in kind of one big suite. But then it doesn't justify the price at $349 when you can get something like Ozone 11, which does a whole heap more and does a whole heap more better. It's got some really nice tools. I love those resonance filters. The de-esser inclusion is good. This, maybe I just don't understand it, but I don't want to add non-linearities and issues like that at the mastering phase. It's there maybe as a creative tool. Sure, if I'm going to do that though, I'll use like a dedicated tape sim or a dedicated vinyl sim to simulate that, rather than have it baked into the compression stage on a mastering plugin, which otherwise is super clean and transparent. Really odd option. And then just the overall workflow is kind of scattered all over the show. So all in all, if it's on offer for something like the 29 deal that Plugin Alliance do, and you don't have the mid-side plugin or their limiter, it's worth grabbing for those two bits alone at that price. But full price as a mastering tool, yeah, no, not particularly feeling it. But if like me, you know, over the years I found this tool really useful, and I would have paid probably like 40 or 50 for this when it was at those kind of prices. You can see it's a really old GUI style and it's tiny. You know, that being baked into here is really useful with a really good limiter and some other fun tools. It just needs to come down massively in price, and it's just not really a competitor for Ozone 11. Those are my thoughts. If you've got anything different, please leave it in the comments down below. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Take care.